And at last is the Chanel Classic Flap. Today, we're going to talk about if you were to buy a bag, which bag it should be based on these mathematical depreciation figures. So before we get into the list, I wanted to have a quick disclaimer. I'm not a bag person. I don't know all these brands. I literally went on the internet, typed in most popular handbags in 2024, and that is how I compiled my list of 8 bags. If you want to know how I came to these calculations, I have my spreadsheet in the link below. It's completely free. But this video is based on my conclusive evidence. So instead of giving you a countdown, I am just gonna give you the results up front. And here are the results. And at last is the Chanel Classic Flap. Second to last is Fendi Peekaboo. Number 6 is Dior Saddlebag. Number 5 is Celine Triumph Shoulder Bag. Number 4 is Low Puzzle Bag. Number 3 is the Gucci Jackie 1961. Number 2 is the LV Neverfull. And number 1, which is no surprise here, is Hermes Birkin. So I wanted to give you this whole list and kind of comment on what I found. Basically, what I found is that bags are not investments besides the Hermes Birkin, but that comes with a huge caveat. Apparently, I was doing some research on the Birkin. You can't just buy it off the rack, walk in a store and buy it. You have to be on this special list. And after doing some research on Reddit, you have to spend at least 30K at Hermes to even be considered to buy one of these bags. So if you take that into account, you're at a net loss for any money you put into Hermes, but that is not the discussion for this video. The biggest outcome for this video is that I always hear women, especially my fiance, say, these bags are investments. Like, I invest in a bag.
Best designer bags to invest in besides just Chanel and Hermes.
The definition of an investment is an asset or item acquired to generate income or gain appreciation. And based on that terminology, none of these bags, or even probably most high-end things, do not appreciate. They're just costs. It's just something you want to buy for your own sake. Because of the fact that every single bag here is going to depreciate besides the Birkin, it makes sense to buy a bag at a lower price point. The Chanel Classic was last because of the super high price point at almost $10,000 plus. It's not the fact that it depreciates more than others, it's just that net difference of dollars that you're gonna lose is greater. Based on these results, I wanted to give 3 better solutions for you if you're looking to buy a bag. Number 1 tip is that if you're really in love with a brand, you might want to consider buying used. It's definitely not as sexy as buying new or, or having a new smelling bag. But if you want to retain most of the value, I used and look at the 10-year appreciation mark to ensure that your bag continues to hold its value when you buy at that cheaper price point. So for example, like even though you can get a Fendi Peekaboo for about 50% off after 5 years, it's still going to be depreciating after 10 years, and it only retains about 30% of its value. So you're still going to lose about $1,000 between those 5 years of owning. On the other hand, it might be wise to buy something like the Low Puzzle Bag because most of the depreciation happens at those initial years. So after 5 years, the Low Puzzle Bag retains about 72% of its price, and after 10 years it still holds 62% of the value retained. And so therefore you're only losing about $400 over those 5 years compared to Fendi Peekaboo's $1,000. The second tip I would like to recommend is to not even buy any of these bags you see and to instead buy a mid-tier brand. Obviously these mid-tier brands don't have the name recognition that some of these high-end luxury brands have, but they still look really, really good and still give you that elevated look. I was looking at Reddit to recommend some of these mid-tier brands, and you have these brands such as Smack Amsterdam, Strathberry, Demidier, Fleurion, Heroux, Songmont, Boy, and a bunch of others. The price point on these are definitely under $1,000. You can get a nice bag for $400 to probably like $700 realistically. And based on the trends that we found from my spreadsheet, even though they will depreciate, because you're getting in at such a lower price point, the depreciation net value loss is a lot smaller than some of these higher luxury end bags. Lastly, my third tip is that if you want to buy, just buy and keep it forever. That is ideal. And the price point doesn't really matter as much. For example, if you really love that Chanel Classic Flap and are planning to keep it for the rest of your life, which we'll assume is 50 years, the price of that gets spread over 50 years. And so the yearly cost basis is a lot lower than, owning it for 5 years and then reselling it My advice there is to consider more classic designs that, last forever, rather than these trendy bags that will get switched out in the next 3 to 5 years. So I would definitely recommend sticking with either black or a neutral color and something that you can wear even when you're 40 years old. I hope you appreciated this video. Let me know what you think of the results. Did the results surprise you? If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and potentially subscribe to this channel. I'm gonna be outputting more videos like this and just financial freedom in general. Please subscribe.